Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We will be shortly commencing our descent into Qantas, and the weather is fine. Current temperature 23 degrees centigrade. As we approach the harbour, the passenger seat on the right-hand side will have a wonderful view of Hong Kong Island, and both sides will have a great view of Kowloon City just before landing.
Qantas was a very different airline in those days to what it is today. The only people who could afford to travel were people who were affluent. It was a big event, and they would wear collar and tie and suits.
I remember every time when the plane get down to the airport and then we can see the buildings is very near the plane, and then people would clap their hands when they see the plane landed successfully.
There was no margin for error landing at Qantas.
From a pilot's point of view, we don't really describe airports as dangerous, we just describe them as challenging. What we would do is we would line ourselves up on a beam which would track us toward what was called the checkerboard. Once we saw the checkerboard, we knew we had enough visibility to actually be able to see the runway. And we knew the runway was out to our right, about 90 degrees, and at that point we're about 900 feet, so we'd have to set up a fairly steep bank turn, continue the rate of descent, and continue descending round to the runway.
It was a very, very difficult approach, and particularly during the typhoon season, because you had crosswinds, you had torrential rain, and you had great difficulty in sighting the end of the runway.
There's so much physics involved with wind directions changing, rates of descent changing, trying to keep onto the runway centreline, which is only 60 metres wide, and a heavy jet is very challenging. And we receive a great deal of satisfaction out of actually doing that well.
When I first started flying into Hong Kong in the 1960s, we would fly 3 sectors. The flight would take perhaps 16.5 hours to get to Singapore, and then another 6.5 to Hong Kong. By the time that I retired, one could jump on an aeroplane in Sydney, fly direct to Hong Kong, and it only took 9.5 hours.
When I first started flying with Qantas, there was only 1 service daily to Hong Kong. Currently there are 4 services daily to Hong Kong, 2 out of Sydney, 1 out of Brisbane, and 1 out of Melbourne.
When I was a student, I need to choose which airlines I have to take to Perth. I choose Qantas because they give me more allowance on my luggage. I think the cabin crew, they are very attentive. Sometimes they will give me what I need before I ask.
澳洲航空咧係一間與時並進嘅公司嚟嘅，佢有好多新嘅概念，不停咁改進，但係由始至終咧都係好着重客戶服務。
The Boeing 787 Dreamliner is the most advanced aeroplane at the moment in the world, and Qantas has just put that on the Hong Kong service. Whilst Qantas has the Airbus A380 already servicing the Hong Kong market, it's currently going through a major refurbishment program, so that will only improve the experience for our passengers to and from Hong Kong.
I go to Sydney for visiting my friends and family, and then I go to Melbourne to experience the coffee culture, and then I will go to Brisbane for running marathons.
There's nothing like coming in over Sydney Harbour on a nice fine day.
The spirit of Australia is the motto of Qantas Airways, and that means everything to me. I'm very proud of it. It envisages images of my country, images of the beach, the wide open lands, the clear skies. It's fantastic.
要帶一啲 Australian spirit 俾啲客咧，我諗最主要就係同佢哋輕鬆咁溝通啦、閒話家常啦、親切嘅笑容，帶俾佢哋好溫暖嘅感覺。